chance to escape Murdoch'sembrace. In 2009, attended the wedding of news international chief executive. The ceremony took place by a leg at a country estate. I stood next to be President Pierce Morgan while Paul Deck, the eliminated role, was a few years away. Permuta was closer to the action. David Cameron hung up the slope. Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister, arrived late with all eyes turning to me as he walked down to the lake. At the reception, I had a brief conversation with Mr. Cameron. I said I hoped we would not win the upcoming election, but that if we did and if we wanted to act in political independent standard, I would support him. Just sometime the journalists in me had known that the relationship between politics and the media was not serving the public. It was my first-hand experience to develop culture abuse negativity that convinced me that the press and 24-hour news were making more difficult for elected leader to govern. Scott Ward said, I replied that he would be a much stronger prime minister were he to take office, not feeling he owed anything to the big media groups. Perhaps we should not have done so, but that we did. However, let's read it out to something of the dishonesty at the heart of what such a political relationship. It is not easy, but admirably what Labour leader did last week. Make himself an enemy of some of the media's most powerful forces. He was right that Labour got too close to News International, but he was also right that, given the media bias against it, he knew why we tried to level the playing field. In my own defense, and as my diary show, argued for some years with Tony Blair that we needed to act on the culture of our media. At one point, he ticked me off, asking that I not my views so obvious in front of Mr. Murdoch, his son James, and Lexington, then chief executive of News International. Ultimately, Mr. Blair thought the press had become a problem, but that given our other priorities, people would understand our taking them on. He also thought it would look like revenge for the fact they had turned against it. And there were political considerations too. Trying to govern an election is hard enough without the press being against you. Except that for all of us, at times media support was something we courted at the expense of position or principle on media issues. But that trap has now been sprung. The latest revelation have forced the police, News International, and the government to act. The police will now be more vigorous. News International will continue with their kamikaze crisis management, which one day will be studied as a textbook case of how not to do it. But the most important developments are the Prime Minister during inquiries into press practices and a new system of regulation. These mean we now have once-in-a-generation opportunity for a new settlement between politics, the media, and the public. Nobody can argue that we have the press we deserve. Pressure by technological change, a dominant strain of Britain's media has gone into a spiral of decline, in which this scandal is only the most dramatic development. Mr. Cameron did not look comfortable announcing the reviews. He has personal relationship at stake, and given he hired Andy Carson as his communication director, his judgment is too. Already the backlash from part of press has begun and seek to maintain that anything but two slopes of regulation is an assault on the free press. Mr. Cameron must stand back from all that and ask himself what is the right thing to do. He did some of it last Friday. The judicial inquiry should be far-reaching. The news of the war is far from alone the usual dubious and legal practices. As widely ignored report from the Information Commission have shown, powers on Britain's media reminds me of the trade union before Mrs. Thatcher. They feel untouchable. As I say above, Labour could and should have done more to deal with the fear beast. But just as the MP expenses scandal emerged from the failure of Mrs. Thatcher's government to tackle MP salaries, so the system by which he showered honors on editors and owners, a practice to which you put an end with a rule that no serving editor could be honored, means you to have something to answer for. Whatever the past, it is Mr. Cameron who must lead the country to a better place. Mr. Miliband has shown himself capable of playing a good and principled part, and so should the public. Ultimately, political debate will only improve if the public wanted to. If they channel the anger at recent event into an assessment of what kind of paper they read, whether they really want to live on a diet of celebrity, trivia, negativity, and abuse, to coin a phrase, we are all in this together.